Welcome
Welcome to Let's Talk Assassin's Creed.
Your number one podcast for all things.
For all things Assassin's Creed. We've rehearsed that.
That's how you start an episode of a new co-host. So yes, in this episode we are introducing our new co-host, James. And
hello everyone.
I'm really glad to have you on board.
That's nice to be here. Nice to be back.
Realised my laptop's dying, which is fine. It'll survive. So
Power.
So as I'm quickly going to run this charge, James, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey for Assassin's Creed.
All right, we're going in with the big question. Well, hello everyone.
Yes, big question.
Where do we start? It started. When did the journey start? It started in about February or March 2019, when a friend of mine at work, who knew that I was kind of getting back into gaming, he said to me, there's a great new game out. You like a bit of history. You like exploring, all that sort of thing. So give this a try. And he said, go and try Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So I had a look on Steam. It was on the sale. It was £30. I thought, yeah, I'll give that a go. So I purchased Odyssey and I started playing. And I fell completely in love with it. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never played an RPG. I'd never played an open world game. I'd never played a third person kind of perspective game. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I was having a great time. And to be honest, I've played Sims and RTS games and so on. Although I had a long break, probably from probably a 10-year break from 2009 to 2019. And got into it and kind of just fell in love with the story and exploring the world and following the characters. So that was my first Assassin's Creed game. As I say, just completely fell in love with it, to the point where I was kind of catching up, because Ubisoft were releasing the DLCs in chapters. So Legacy, the First Blade, that had already been released, and I was kind of playing through the story, catching up. Then I did the first DLC, and then I caught up with the kind of release cycle, I think, with the first chapter of Fate of Atlantis, and then it was the 6-week break between each chapter. So again, it was great to go back and do more of these new stories and explore these new worlds that they created. And then it was over. All the content was done. I think they finished about a year later, didn't they? About October 2019. All the content was, the Lost Tales of Greece were finished, DLCs were finished, and I just thought, I don't know what to do now. So I started a new game plus, and I played the whole thing again. And I had just as much fun the second time. I didn't know the lore. I didn't know why this spear was particularly special. I didn't know who Darius was and why he was important. I didn't understand at the end of Legacy of the First Blade, when what's the child called? Elpidios, when he sails away with Darius, I didn't understand who this lady was that we saw in Greece. So I knew none of the history or the pre-existing games. I just knew that I was having a great time. And I think after my second or third play through the story, I thought it might be time to try something else. And I thought, well, it makes sense that the story of Cassandra was in the 4th or 5th century BCE. I'll jump forward to the next game chronologically. That's Origins. I'll play Origins next. And I did struggle to get into Origins. It's got quite a different start, and the times, sort of the story jumps around a few years in timing, but got into that, loved it. And I finished Origins just as the first COVID lockdown was starting, which in the UK would be March last year. So it finished Origins, finished Odyssey. And I think by then, did we know that Valhalla we knew it was going to be Vikings, I think, at that point. So we kind of knew that the next game was coming. Things were starting to build in terms of marketing and hype and all the rest of it. And with the lockdown starting, I thought, what shall I do next? Well, I need to play more. There's 12, 13 games in this series. What shall I do next? And now I didn't really have any plan here. So if anyone's listening thinking, why on earth did you play the games in this order? The answer is I had no plan. I just looked at all the games and looked at all the sort of the very brief kind of story summaries and thought, Victorian London. That sounds like fun. So I bought Syndicate and went and played Syndicate, and again, I just had a great time. So that kind of was kind of my foundational into the franchise. Now since then, Valhalla's come out, and I've played that, and I've also been back and played through over the last, what is it now, 9-10 months. I've played through all of the previous titles. I'm trying to think which ones I haven't played. I haven't played Chronicles, the 3 Chronicles games, and I haven't played. There's a mobile game. Is it Altair's Bloodlines or something? I think that was
There's
on DS.
there's Rebellion, which is the mobile gacha game.
I've played that a little bit. Yeah.
There's Altair's Bloodline, and Discovery was DS games, but I think Discovery was for Ezio. And I think
Right, I haven't played those two. So I've played all the kind of main titles, if you like.
Yeah.
Although, just to clarify, I very much did the main stories only. So side content, I have explored very little of the side content. I'll tell you, I can't remember who I was chatting to in one of our communities a few weeks ago, and I made them laugh when I said I completed AC3 main story, and I never once visited a shop to go and restock. I just did the game and played the story, finished it in about a week, had a great time, and moved on. So over the last 9 months, I've kind of caught up, learned a bit more, got better at the various kind of mechanics and all the rest of it, but still very much a learner, shall we say, especially compared to you, Declan.
So you technically have a very unique perspective to bring to the show, and one that I'm very excited about because, unlike me, I've been playing since it first came out in 2007. So
Yeah.
I've been there for 14 years to see every game grow and play every game as they come out. But you've started with Odyssey, then Origins, and then gone back. So I've seen the games grow from linear to RPG, whereas you've been able to experience RPG and linear side by side. And it makes me wonder, how do you feel about the sudden tone of shift? If you could think about the games in chronological order, so 1 to Odyssey, how do you kind of feel about the RPG shift? Because me, I kind of dig it. Assassin's Creed's always been a pseudo RPG game since 2, so I dig it.
It's a debate that's had a lot, isn't it? And the debate can get very divisive, and there are many spicy opinions available out there. There are some players, fans who really don't like Odyssey for the direction it went in. That's fair enough. I respect that opinion. I'll answer the question this way. I don't see too many differences between Origin's overall structure and Odyssey's overall structure. I think there's a couple of things they could have done with Odyssey's design, like guaranteed assassinations. That would have probably made a lot of players pretty happy, regardless of the rest of the character build and the gear mechanics and the engravings. If you had an option, which we have in Valhalla, which is great, and I have it turned on, I don't want to worry about building for assassination. So in Valhalla, I have guaranteed assassinations turned on, and it just makes the game a lot more fun to play. And we may come to this topic in a minute in more detail. So because of the kind of the slightly out of order way I played the games, Unity was the last mainline game I played, which I just finished a few weeks ago. And when I went into the menu for the first time after completing the first couple of sequences, and I was thinking, right, I need to look at Arno's skill points, because there's skill points. Oh, there's skill points. I can choose to unlock lockpicking or double air assassination, or I can go and buy some new clothes for him that level up his stealth stats or his melee stats. And I was looking at this menu thinking, apart from the fact it's simpler and the numbers are smaller, how is this not an RPG? I mean, there's even Helix credits right in the menu there. You can choose to upgrade your gear with your Creed points that you earn in the game, or you can go and buy Helix credits and then upgrade your gear and your character. So how do I feel about it? I think it's been coming for a long time. That's probably a balanced answer to give. Which was the first game that had an online store? Was it AC3? Certainly Black Flag had a lot of online connections, like you had your community challenges, friends challenges, or was it an RPG? Maybe not. But certainly, when you look at Unity's menu and the character build stuff, it's been a slow and steady progression from a fairly simple start what we now have with Odyssey and Valhalla has continued that trend. It's brought back some of the lore in a lot more detail, and it's reused things like sages that we've had in the earlier games, but it's carrying on down that path. Certainly, do I mind it? Do I like it? I suppose I don't really know any different. So I'm perfectly happy with going into Eivor's menu and customizing her armor and picking runes that buff my combat or my ranged stats or whatever. So I suppose I don't know any different.
I think the biggest takeaway from that is one that I would happily put on a big plasterboard. As long as you're happy, should be the poster. As long as you're happy, you like Eivor. As long as you're happy. Like, I've been playing all the games and I don't really care. Like, I'm there for the history and the story. I don't care if I need to put a pair of trousers on that make me stealthy. I don't care. Like, if I'm walking around England and I have to juggle my character's build to be an assassin, but I'm still getting Isu Law, I don't care how I built my Eivor. I'm seeing Isu Law. I don't care about the mechanics that are on top. I want a lovely little story woven in. And you did touch on a mechanic that I'm going to hold up my hands up and admit I called pointless since day one.
Go on.
And that was guaranteed assassinations.
Okay.
I did agree, and I've always been a voice of perfect accessibility setting.
Yeah.
But with how, and it could be my reaction times because I'm used to quick time event games, I found the QTE for Valhalla perfect. It was simple. The assassination system already in Valhalla was simple with the way the leveling works. So having guaranteed assassinations did seem pointless. However, since last month, Six Keys twisted my arm. So a friend of the show, Six Keys, has twisted my arm to try guaranteed assassinations because I saw her talking about it at Sisterhood.
Yeah.
And I eat my words. Taking out the QuickTime events is so perfect.
Yes.
In Wrath of Druids, there was a 2-bar enemy, that's usually a QuickTime event, dropped a smoke bomb, ran into the crowd, one-stabbed them all without QTE, and it just felt satisfying. It was just... It still feels like QTime is slightly pointless because of how simple the assassination works. Like, I think Odyssey's assassination was harder because you had to hold the assassinating button to get a critical.
Well, you could, I mean, again, I play on keyboard on PC, so you could tap F for an assassinate, which would just take your assassinate metric or your assassinate damage and apply that. Whether it was enough or not was the gamble. Or you could press and hold for a critical assassinate, which would then do a multiplier based on other character stats. So yeah, you had a couple of options with Odyssey, but you had to unlock critical assassinate through an ability. Or you could do what I've done, and I looked at my numbers the other day when I was chatting with a couple of people on Twitter about our Odyssey stats. I didn't realise how much time I've spent in that game. It's quite frightening. It's north of 800 hours, which is just crazy. But when you get to that point and you've chained together 5 or 6 new game pluses, you don't need to worry about critical assassinate. You can kill everyone one shot. You can take the nightmare 99 level mercenaries down, mythical beasts, no problem. Actually, it's so easy. It's not actually particularly challenging, and it's probably more fun to have a bit more challenge. But anyway, we've gone off topic already. What were we talking about? Valhalla's. I like you. I played it with the default setting in Valhalla, so I had it so that you had to get the timing right for your assassination. I actually thought it was quite cool to have that shrinking circle, and you've got to get it in those red bars. I thought adds a little bit of risk. You know, you're Eivor, you're going in for the kill. It's a nice way on screen and through the controls of bringing that risk to the player. But yeah, like you, I turned it off. I don't miss it. I can just go and assassinate people and move on. You know, I've got a lot to do in England and Ireland and Francia, so I need to get on with things. You know.
So a little question, just because this is to get to know you. In all of the Assassin's Creed games, is there any mechanic or setting that you just think was pointless being in the game?
Ooh,
because
that you didn't go where I thought you were going with that. Pointless.
Well, yeah, because I like all the systems in the game, but Valhalla has this XRay Assassination. That's like Mortal Kombat style.
Whoa! What's this? XRay Assassination?
Yeah, it's in the settings. You basically, if you assassinate someone, you've got like an X-ray view, like you get in a Sniper Ghost Warriors or Mortal Kombat, where you can see the blade hit the rib cage or the heart.
Oh,
It's
Ah,
it's over the top, and of all the mechanics I've ever seen in Assassin's Creed, to me it's just pointless. The time for the finish camera is already a bit slow. I think it's about 2 seconds per finisher. If
mm.
I'm running at somebody and I air assassinate, I don't need an extra 1 to 2 second video clip of watching the hidden blade go into the body. I just want to hit them, run up,
Yep.
leg it.
Yep. Move
That's
on.
it. And that's why I just want to know if you've seen any
Hmm.
in this
I got
games
to,
you've played.
I got to think back. So just on that particular point, so when they added the option with one of the recent title updates for Valhalla, they added the option to turn off the dramatic finisher cameras or whatever it's called, and I turned that off because when I'm in a melee, I build for speed, and we've talked about this in the past. I have dual spears, very lightweight build. I build for speed, and I get in there and clear them out and move on. But I do a lot of parrying and a lot of very short dodges, and I found those finishers just kind of broke up my flow of dodge, parry, attack, dodge, parry, attack. So I turned them off as soon as they gave us the option to turn off. Do you know what? If they'd have left them in, I wouldn't have minded. I'd have just let the animation play and carry on. But you see, you're asking a big question. I'm going to have to rack my brains and try and think through the history.
See, I broke him already. The co-host
Yeah,
been
I
here for a day
mean,
and he's broke.
I'll tell you a mechanic I thought was awesome and I'd love to see back, which might be another question you're coming to.
That is a question, but
All
let's
right,
swift to
but
that because I want to know this one.
all right. Um, Liberation's persona system.
Oh, is
The
it where?
fact Aveline had three outfits. She could dress as a slave, as an assassin in her classic assassin gear with the beat tricorn, which is just cool, or as the lady. And each persona, it gave you effectively different approaches to the target or different movement and combat options. So I think when you were as the lady, you couldn't parkour, but you could pass through areas without being spotted. As the slave, you could pick up crates and effectively form like a one lady blend zone, so you could walk into different areas. And I think for replayability and just for flexibility of approaches, I think it's awesome. Now it works for her because of her position in her life and her kind of split family and dual heritage. And maybe you can't apply that to every setting, but I thought it was fantastic, and I enjoyed that game so much, trying the different personas and the different approaches to locations and targets.
To be honest, you've actually touched on something that I had a thought about months ago because I didn't play Liberation on PS3 because I didn't know it existed because I didn't own
Mm.
PSP, but I did play it through the Assassin's Creed 3 remaster, and I remember seeing that
Same for me.
system.
Yeah, yeah.
And I cast my back to Arno in Unity, who has a really similar mechanic where he could change his outfit, but it's like an
Ah,
animus
yes. The,
glitch.
the disguise
Yeah,
ability.
I didn't like it because it seems like it was more that he wasn't putting his disguise on, but Bishop was hacking the system to change him. That's how it felt because of the way it
It's.
was
I mean,
designed.
I know that people use it, and I have it as my active ability for co-op, although I've never used it in co-op. And I find it funny because I know people don't like some of the more magical abilities in Odyssey, and I would wonder what they would say about exactly what you've said. Why can Arno change his disguise? Now, of course, we're not actually playing as Arno. We're playing as Abstergo's sort of memory reconstruction of him. So, yeah, we can hack it however we like. Um, but yeah, it's good fun though. If you're in co-op and suddenly you all look like that French guard you're trying to walk through, why not?
I think the system that I would like to see that is spawned off what you brought up with Liberation is in Odyssey we had the manual transmog on the menu.
Yes,
Now, I do think
yes,
I don't mind how Valhalla's done it, but with Valhalla introducing legacy outfits as a one-piece system that you put on the chest and it changes your
yeah,
whole body, I thought it'd be really cool if certain Blackbox style missions, like we had in Paris, you could assassinate a guard, for example, and what he will drop is a single chest piece that would change your entire outfit, and then there'll be just a single transmog button just for that one disguise. So once you've got it permanently. So Ava could transmog it onto her outfit, so we don't lose our outfit stats, but it's as if Avor's putting on that disguise.
Absolutely.
And then it's just like a blend of, instead of going to a certain location to change it, you're unlocking them by killing certain NPCs. So if you steal certain beggars that are wandering around, if you bump and steal them, you can steal their outfit. So you could walk around as a beggar, and guards would like just think you're just a beggar or homeless, so they'll leave you alone. If you kill a guard, you can dress up as a guard, and it'd be a cool little
That
feature.
would be very cool, and you could even go further and say you've got to pick the right outfit for the right location.
Yeah,
You know, if you're a beggar and you walk up to a camp, the guards are going to push you away. If you're dressed as a guard, what's the mission in Revelations where Ezio he dresses up as a, what are they called? Are they not janissaries? What are the Ottoman guards called with the very
oh,
elaborate headdresses?
I've
Oh
forgotten
my
what
word!
you mean.
Are they They're not janissaries.
Oh, I've forgotten now.
Anyway,
It's so
there's
long.
that whole mission where he's dressed up, and you have to walk so slowly around the edge
Yeah,
of the camp to assassinate the bad guy, whose name I've also forgotten. But anyway, you know, there is a precedent for that, isn't there? I think there's other missions where you got Edward when he steals Duncan Walpole's entire
yeah.
outfit. And starts pretending to be an assassin at the start of Black Flag. So there's lots of precedent for that as a general kind of recurring story thing. But as a gameplay option, that would be fantastic, and it would open up a lot of opportunities as well.
I think it's also a feature that hasn't really gone away. Like Ezio had the masquerade disguise, so you could go for the masquerade ball and no one bat you an eyelid.
Yes,
Slight spoiler, hour one.
is the songs he sings when he's dressed up as the bard are just
Oh,
brilliant.
brilliant.
Anyway,
You get a cloak in one of the first missions in Siege of Paris. That's all I'm going to say. And when you wear that cloak through the story mission, guards don't bother you in that one story area. And it's kind of like the cloak system in Etsy in the Assassin's Creed 2 game, where you wear a
yes,
cloak and you get no authority. It can't be that hard to make a very small transmog menu that's just outfits for blending in. Because I think, and to this day, I do love Altair's blending in with the monks because they wear white. But with Eivor blending in with the monks in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, she's sometimes in Isu armor, and I know that's a hack, or
yes.
she's dressed as a brigadier. It makes,
Altair's robes closely matched the monks,
yeah,
didn't they? So you could kind of believe that he was praying and blending with them and walking through the crowds.
big,
But yes, Eivor with her sort of huge shields and massive spears, and you're going to spot her a mile away.
if you could unlock a monk cloak or a monk outfit that you could just
Yeah,
transmog
yeah.
on the fly, it would be pretty good. Just walk
Mm,
into an area and, but the moment you stab someone, they're gonna like figure you out. You're gonna be busted.
absolutely. That's a really interesting idea. Yeah, that was your original question. Was, are there any mechanics I would delete? I'm still thinking it through. I don't know. I mean, like I said when I was giving my kind of intro, I've enjoyed every single game. Maybe for different reasons, but you know, I'm quite chilled about this stuff. I've had good fun.
I think over the 14 years of playing these games, you've come to love every little bit, as I've discussed in Evolution of the Games podcast episode. The games try something new each episode, so each game, so you can't fall out of love because it's something new. But
Yeah,
Valhalla tried X-Ray Assassinations, and I just think that has to go. Delete it. Nobody needs Mortal Kombat style abilities. If I'm
yeah.
stabbing someone in public, I don't need 5 seconds to watch a blade go through his heart. I don't care. I'm stabbing.
I would rather see the cool sort of heavily scripted, well acted memory
Yeah,
corridor than a sort of an overly dramatic blade going through a spine or whatever the animation is, for sure.
memory corridors are perfect. Like I really miss memory
Odyssey should have
corridors.
had memory corridors at
Yes,
least for this, at least for the seven sages, if not for all 42 cultists. I get it. That's a lot of mocap and a lot of scripts, but certainly for the sages. Although Cleon, he did have a little speech. No, that was he was before you killed him. That would have been something that Odyssey should have had. There you go. Certainly for the key targets.
memory corridors are fun. I remember. I don't know if you remember. Did you do any of these side quests in Origins?
I
Yeah,
right. We'll get to that in a sec. So, when I played Origins, and again we're going back sort of a year and a half. Yeah, so I 100%ed Origins. I got all the achievements. I did every location. I did both DLCs. I cleared the map. And then somehow, between finishing Origins and wanting to replay it around Christmas last year, I have lost my save game. So I was going to just do a new game plus and just kind of do a bit of exploring, play the main story. And when I loaded it, gone. My save game is gone. So I'm sort of about halfway through a new game. So I have played it, yeah, and done all the side quests, although my memory is probably not great.
The reason why I brought it up is it's one of the most, and it's going to like lead on to a question, but it's one of the moments in Assassin's Creed where my mouth just hit the floor because I never expected it, and that was
Mm.
Sages seemed to die off by Unity. You didn't really hear much about them in Syndicate, but playing Origins and getting all those memory corridors, and then in a side quest, and this is just a side quest, you assassinate a target, and in the memory corridor, he's like the burning sun. His whole aura is just pure white, and it blinds Bayek because he's
I
a
don't remember
sage.
that.
I'll have to find it for you. It's mind
Oh
blowing
my
because
word.
he's actually a sage. You've just killed a sage, and in the memory corridor, you see the sage, and it's one of the most breathtaking
Cool.
memory corridors ever because his whole aura is like the burning sun. And because I think it's the son of Ra or something.
So I remember there's a location. God, if Amit listens to this, she's going to be shouting at the. Amit was a guest on the show last week on the Origins episode. If Amit's listening to this, she's going to be shouting at the speakers right now. I remember there's a location you go to, and I think it's in the main map. I don't think it's in the DLCs. And there's, I guess, a village festival, and they've got a huge fire built on a tower. I guess it's like a representation of the sun. But is it somewhere in that location or that storyline, or is it something completely different?
I think it's the Seven Sons DLC. Not Seven Sons. Seven Sons side quest because you get a trophy
Okay,
for it.
all
I
right.
think was it the Seven Farmers. I'll try and find it for you because it was just like what?
Seven Farmers sounds familiar. I remember the trophy name. I mean, the thing is, and playing the games in the order I did, I wouldn't have known what a sage was or why that was important. So I would have gone, okay, you're dead, next, and moved on. But for you coming through the games in
Yeah.
chronological order, yeah, it was a lot more impactful.
And, and when I find the cutscene, you'll see the reason why I made it impactful is Bayek has always been down to earth with his feathers, send him off to the Duat,
Mm,
and then just to get a cutscene where it looks like you facing God, one of the gods himself,
yeah, yeah.
it was just so, yeah. It just made my mind blow up. And you cast your mind to all the games you've played. Is there actually been a moment where your mind's just gone kaput because you didn't expect it?
Aside from all the character deaths, which you'd think I would have picked up on the clues having played all of these games over the last year or so. There are a number of character deaths that I didn't spot coming, although I kind of wondered when they would happen. Aside from that, not in terms of story, but and I'm going to use a Unity reference here. I love how the game, and in particular how the assassinations are framed. I
Yeah.
love, and I have tweeted about this extensively. So if anyone is listening to this, I'm really sorry. There's a lot of Unity spam. I just love the cinematic where he scans that area and he
Ah,
picks
yeah.
out the clues, and then you've got the card, the character to assassinate, the number of guards, and it just the way it frames the assassination, and then you've got those very dramatic. They're not even memory corridors, are they? Because Arno's not present. He's rewatching the memories of his target, and how those two cinematics, so scanning the area and the target giving up their memories in their dying breath, how those two things put the sort of the brackets around each mission, I just think is fantastic. And when I saw the first, are we allowed to do? We're allowed. You've already talked about Siege of Paris, so we can
Yeah.
do a few Siege of Paris spoilers. So when we got the first prompt for the Blackbox mission in Siege of Paris, I literally whooped out loud because I was like, "This is great! I'm so happy," And it was just like, I'd literally just finished Unity, so it was straight into Siege of Paris, and it was just like being back, you know. So that's something that I just thought was a very stylish way of presenting the assassination and kind of putting you into the character and into sort of Arno's abilities.
I think that's one thing I'd have to apologise and do a public apology right now. Unity, I didn't play a lot. I did play it and completed it, but because I didn't have Wi-Fi at the time, I literally spent the past 10 years without Wi-Fi. I think I only got Wi-Fi for the first time about 5 years ago, so I played Unity without strong Wi-Fi. So when I did all the black box missions, I didn't understand that there were black box missions, and it wasn't until a year later when I got into Unity that a friend of mine told me that black box
Right.
missions were multiple endings for assassinations, and I've been badgering on and I've been annoying folk that I thought Valhalla was bringing back multiple choice for assassinations, and I apologize that I was actually wrong. Like, I did my first one in Siege of Paris, and I picked it up carefully. I followed the prompts, and I realized that, hang on a minute, it's not multiple endings. There's one ending. Like, this guy's going to die, and there's going to be a set cutscene. But how you get to that cutscene and how it ends will always be different. So it's not multiple endings because there's always a cause and effect. It's just what that ending looks like is different. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'd say it's two things. You've got the option as the player to unlock different approaches, or you can just YOLO through the main gate and slaughter everyone. That's up to you. And that's we have a Siege of Paris episode planned. Is it next week or the week after where we're going to talk about this in depth? But it would be nice to replay some of the Siege of Paris ones just to see what the other endings are. So you've got your multiple approaches which you can unlock through talking to people or getting a key or whatever. But yeah, you have got the option of like a unique kill or a unique memory corridor or whatever. The one that sticks in my mind because it's the first one you do, and again, Unity's the most recent game I finished. It's fresh in my mind. When you kill Siver in Notre Dame, I didn't realise the first time I did it. I just got into the cathedral. He was walking up to me, and I killed him. And I thought, great, I've done my first black box mission. Hooray! This was it was really satisfying because I'd snuck in, I got the key, jumped down from the beams and all the rest of it, and I was really happy. It was only on like fourth or fifth time I did that mission when I was replaying it here on my PS5 that I realised you could go into the confession booth and listen to his confession and then put the blade through the confession wall and get the unique kill that way. So I don't know whether I think I like the fact that the game didn't prompt you because it kept the mystery and it was a real nice surprise going back to it. I've forgotten where I was going with this point. I was enjoying myself too much. What was the question?
I was just making a point of how like I got multiple how I got black box missions wrong. I thought
Yes.
they were multiple choice, but playing them in Valhalla and then replaying Unity now, and I did actually for the first time did the one in the confession box because I didn't know that was a thing till this year. I'm actually going to say, and I know I'm going to get pitchforks, black box missions is better assassination than other assassinations because a lot of them just felt scripted. You know, to get to the assassinated target was either A or B. There was a reason to do it. I don't remember Assassin's Creed 1 having much flexibility. Like, you could different angles to get to your target, but there's none of this, like, unique ways. Like, I've seen...
There wasn't, I mean, God, AC1, there wasn't unique kills, but you learned more about the environment, didn't you? By doing the pickpocketing, by maybe killing a target that had a map, or eavesdropping was the other one, wasn't it? You could eavesdrop on guards, and that would tell you where the. So you could just do. Is it 2 missions or 2 investigations minimum to unlock the kill? I think, or you could do
2
all
or 3.
6, and yeah. So I suppose there's a uniqueness there, and you could challenge yourself by just doing the minimum and then going in and seeing if you can kill them. But I don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't think there was unique approaches, or the game wasn't advanced. You couldn't sort of unlock a hidden door, or get a key or anything. But it's something that was a real nice thing to have back in Siege of Paris. I must say, I did wonder if they'd ever come back, and it was really nice to see them brought from the older games into the new framework for sure.
I think I'm happy because I did my first one and I went and watched all the unique kills for the very first Black Box mission. And I'm going to admit, I think they're all terrible, except for the one I did. Like, okay.
Are we talking Siege of Paris now or Unity?
Siege of Paris. Like,
okay.
I'm not going to say which mission it is, but the very first Black Box mission, I've seen all the different ways you can get the target, but the most satisfying one is the most stealthiest one.
Yes.
That is, to be honest, that one just makes you feel such like an assassin. You just
Yes.
set up perfectly. The target has no idea, and then bam, done
Yeah.
for. That is
Yeah.
a blade in the shadows.
Yeah.
Truth.
I did the same as you. I played everyone how I like to think it's meant to be played. And I did the investigations, I put the cloak on, and I'll be honest with you, right? Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, I've enjoyed them all very much. I do a lot of running, to be honest. These are big maps, I haven't got time to walk. But for Siege of Paris, I did it right. I put the cloak on, I walked around, I blended, I spoke to the barmaid to get the clue from here, and then I listened in on the guards over here, and it was great. It was just so nice.
My playstyle has always been consistent in all games, and I can't believe for 14 years I've not changed. I always do range, stealth, melee last.
Mm,
So
mm,
I know you can do much range in one, except for the throwing knives, but I used to always throw throwing knives at guards first on the roof, and then air assassinate,
very good.
because I hated the combat system in all those games. And when Unity brought the Phantom Blade, oh, I used to love like crouch, crossbow bolt, hop over, stab, double
Yeah,
assassination, and then just
yeah,
casually walk away. That's like,
yeah,
so in Valhalla, people say to me, "Oh, how have you got so many assassinations when stealth is broken?" And I'm like, I do a Connor. I hide in a tree,
mm,
shoot everybody with an arrow.
mm,
Anyone stupid enough to stay by a bush, I pop out the bush.
yeah,
That's how
yeah.
Connor would do it in free, so I'm gonna do it my way.
On that stealth is broken point, I mean, I'm no expert, so if someone like Leo K says this stealth system is broken, I'm going to trust him because he knows this stuff, right? Um, I certainly tried throughout the main Valhalla story. So in Winchester, in Jorvik, in London, I tried to do these. The hell are they called? The Order of Ancients. I tried to find the Order of Ancients. I tried to walk in the distrust zones. I tried to sit on the benches, and yeah, my uneducated opinion is this is impossible
Yes.
to actually play it the way that we're sort of getting into layers of meaning here. When they said social stealth was back, I tried to play it the way I thought the early games were supposed to be played, and it doesn't work. There are no gaps, or that's not true, but sometimes you're in a location where there's just no gaps in a patrol pattern. Whereas in the older games, it was pretty obvious where
Yeah.
the hole was in the guards, or that all the guards are in pairs apart from that one over there. I'll take that one out first to open a hole in the defences, and start to. But in Valhalla, it wasn't like that. However, coming to Siege of Paris again, I don't know if the underlying mechanics have been tweaked or whether they just arranged the guards differently or gave us more parkour opportunities, more ropes, more beams to move on. But the stealth worked,
Yeah.
and it was so enjoyable. We'll talk more about this next week or the week after, but yeah, I thought it was great.
I think the last point I'm going to make on this little bit is people say stealth is broken in Valhalla, but I always argue stealth isn't broken because technically there's no A to B to stealth. Stealth can be done in any point. The social stealth is broken, I will admit. Detection system is slightly busted, I will
Yeah,
admit.
yeah,
But if you can take out two archers with a well placed arrow and then air assassinate a guard, isn't that also perfect stealth?
true.
So,
Arrows are one of your tools, aren't they? In the
so
same way
I
as throwing knives would have been in the early games or whatever.
so
Yeah,
I can't argue that stealth can be broken, but stealth isn't A to B. It's A B C D E 3D access. There's
yeah,
millions of
true,
ways. I think the
true.
only thing they need to add is double assassinations because I'm so tired
Yes,
of
yes,
having to shoot an arrow at a wall for a guard to go see what the bang was, to then air assassinate the other guy that's just been dumb enough to stand there, to then run behind the other guy and stab him. I don't want to distract. I just want to double assassinate.
yeah, yeah. It's a good point, and something that I remember messing around with. Was it in? I think it was in Wrath. It was in Wrath of the Druids, and what I was missing was, I mean, you got it in Odyssey, so Cassandra can throw her spear. I forget what the ability is called, and she
Rush
can.
assassination.
Thank you, rush assassinate, and you've got it in the earlier games like the throwing knives. You got the Phantom Blade in Unity and so on, or throwing knives in Syndicate. What you're kind of missing, and this again comes back to the character build point, unless you build for ranged, it's quite hard to one-shot a guard with an arrow, even with a headshot.
Yeah.
You can do it, absolutely you can do it, so there's no excuse there. I could build for range and do that. But what I was experimenting with was crouching in the bushes and using the throwing axes.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter and I still haven't tried it.
You can one-shot assassinate using the throwing axes. It's awesome. And if you crouch in a bush and if you get the timing right, Ava she does a little jump. So she sort of jumps, arches her back, and then throws both of the arrows. So she does come out of cover, but I worked out that if you stayed in a large enough bush, she would remain with her kind of white glow, indicating that she's still in cover, even though her head's poking out of the bush. So that kind of gives you that one-shot ranged tool that we sort of miss. But you use up your adrenaline, and you've only got 4 adrenaline shots. And now we're speaking about it, we do miss those little quick shot tools like the Phantom Blade. You could just right-click on the mouse, and Arno does an automatic kill on the nearest target. Wouldn't it be great if using the bow as a tool, you could do a quick shot and Ava could just pull her bow, turn, and fire off a headshot at the nearest person? Little tools like that could open up some really interesting... And I know you can do it. You can stop and you can aim and you can press the mouse to draw back the arrow and whatever, and you can do it. But I just think we're missing a few of those little helper tools maybe that could help us open up gaps. But like you say, you've got smoke bombs now. You can do air assassinate. You can distract guards. So there are options.
I think the only option they need to bring back, and I will literally go to the Mentals Guild and I will ask Ubisoft themselves, because it can be done, is to copy Arno. Now, I'm going to wonder what I mean, but Arno only has one hidden blade.
Yes.
And now I have froze every single frame in double assassination moves because I'm an idiot. And technically he uses the hidden blade to kill one guard and a knife to kill the other guard. But sometimes he just grabs the neck and
he holds him around the neck, doesn't he? And he does a slice across the neck and then a stab through the other neck. Yeah.
Now Eivor has a mini axe on her belt. It cannot be that hard through some copy and pasting of character animations.
Absolutely.
To do an axe kill and a hidden blade kill, or even just arm around the neck to drag the axe across and then assassinate. Bring double assassinations back. Just give me them. It's all I want.
That would be pretty bloody and pretty awesome if she's jumping down off a rooftop and she goes through the back of the neck with one guy on the blade and the other one gets an axe driven through the skull. I mean, that would be quite cool.
Hell yeah. And that's what I love double assassinations. It's just so cool.
Oh, it's so satisfying. My favourite assassination is just some might say it's the most boring. I walk at a slow speed, right behind the guys, boom, boom, and just carry on walking without missing a step. I just think it's cool,
I think the best assassination, and I didn't record it because I'm an idiot, because I've just only figured out how now to fully record stuff on that Series X, is I was walking as Arno and 3 guards walked towards me and I double assassinated, and I managed to hit off a Phantom Blade.
Whoa. 3 girls or 3 guards?
3 guards.
Oh, right, okay. You're not killing civilians now.
No, 3 guards. And I managed to take 2 double assassination. And the last one, as the ball was drinking, got a Phantom Blade and then just strolled off. And it was just so satisfying.
That option, like you've got there, like you said, you do it on is it the left one controller? So just a quick click, or it's a quick right click on the mouse, just to fire off that ranged kill. It would be lovely to have that back. Do it as a throwing axe. Modify the throwing axe skill for Ava. Yes. So she just throws an axe. It doesn't use adrenaline. That would be nice, because adrenaline is in short supply for Ava. And it give you more combat options and more stealth, more assassination options.
And I think for the far future, I'm always going to stick to the range build, because playing as Connor in AC3, even though I wasn't sold on Connor at first, until I did a couple more playthroughs and I read Forsaken, and then I fell in love with Connor again.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer that assassins work better with a mix of range and stealth. Melee's good, but being able to shoot somebody out of a tree with a bow and then air assassinate someone that's going to investigate the body is more satisfying for me than running in and challenging into a fight. So I may not be able to social stealth in Valhalla, but I can shoot you with a bow and I can still stab you.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
So we've run out of time for this episode, and
did we get through all the questions, I wonder?
yes, we did actually.
Happy days.
Yeah. So I want to officially welcome you to the show, not as a guest, but now as a co-host.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
I think we've learned a lot, and I thought it'd be really nice to do this episode just to get to know you a bit more and have a good chat about Assassin's Creed. Because the funny thing is, people, we've been working hard behind the scenes at content for the next, I'm going to say 5 months we've got written.
We've got show ideas. We've probably got nearly a year's worth of potential shows. Some of them are just a title. Some of them are like one word, music or something like that. But yeah, I mean, we had a long call, didn't we, this time last week? And I think we've got really detailed and really varied content. What, the end of November? I think. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
So we've got a lot for you guys, and as James is on trial for 3 months because he would like to see how he feels with the show and going forward, there's not going to be a single episode you won't hear him chattering. So we have a great lineup, and why I brought this up is this is our 93rd episode. Very surprising. So 2 years in nearly, and 100 episodes. I'm pretty much like the Terminator, just drilling them out every week.
I was going to make that point, which is you are a machine. You put out an episode every week without fail. Across the whole range of the franchise. It's impressive.
I am sweating. It's like the best thing I've done. But I can keep giving you Q&As, I can keep giving you insights, but to say thank you, because we're now on 30,000 total plays, my show has been played by 30,000 times, you guys are going to get a 100 episode special to see how we make the show. You're going to see how I edit, so we will draw up some fake noises to edit. That sounds so strange.
We can do that.
Fake speech. So you'll see us how I edit, behind the scenes of how we record, and maybe some small surprises. So thank you all for listening this week. If you want to reach out and have a discussion with us or have any questions for future topics, you can reach out on Twitter at ACLetsTalk, or you can also reach out to the co-host James at
I am James Tiddly Quid.
Cool name. You can check out, and you can also email me. I forgot to say email me at assassinscreedletstalk@gmail.com. So, hope you'll enjoy this episode, and we'll see you all next week.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.